This is Molly. Welcome to Purpose, where we are trying to figure out this crazy world we're living in by reading the stories of the Bible. And today's a whopper. We're going to read Genesis chapter 34. And this is a tough story in the Bible. You know, sometimes the stories in the Bible, they're hard to understand. But nothing's in the Bible. Nothing's in the Bible for nothing? Does that even make sense? Everything that's in the Bible is there for a reason. We just need to figure it out. And I think today's story about Dina and the rape that happens to her is a good time for us to... Can you hear my mule? She's hungry. This is a good time for us to think about the fact that people will tell you. You'll hear people on podcasts or in the news or at church that say you have to praise God at all times. Praise God for everything that happens to you. And that's probably true. We need to praise God for the good things and the bad. But we can't be grateful and thank God for all of the bad things that happen to us. We're human. You know, some things that happen to us are so bad, we can't be grateful that they happened. We can't thank God that happened to us. It's too much. And I don't think God expects it of us. You know, if it's just our work that's going tough, or maybe money short, or a car breaks down, then you can still say, okay, God, thank you for teaching me this lesson of patience, or whatever it is. But we're talking about stories like we're about to read here. It would take a special person to be able to say, thank you for letting this happen to me. And that's not me. I would not be able to do it. Here's what I can do. I can turn to God and say, I trust you no matter how this turns out. That's what we can do. We can tell God, I love you and I trust you. That no matter what happens, you're going to be with me. You're going to love me and you're going to take care of me, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want. So what happens with Dina? Remember, Jacob had those 12 rascally boys. I think he's only got 11 so far. We haven't got to the 12th one, Benjamin, yet. And he had one daughter named Dina that he had with Leah. And remember, they're in Shechem in the land of Canaan. And Dina was out visiting friends, you know, just seeing people and visiting neighbors. And there was a prince, Shechem, that's his name. They lived in the land of Shechem, and his name is Shechem. He's the son of Hamor, who's like the king of the land. He saw her, and he grabbed her, and he laid down with her. And it said he humbled her. He had his way with her. Didn't matter what she wanted. And then it says how his soul was drawn to her, and he loved her, and he spoke tenderly to her, whatever. Whatever. You don't love someone and take them against their will. That's not love, that's lust. He did not love Dina. He says he does. He doesn't. If he did, he wouldn't have hurt her. And then he took her back to his dad's house, held her captive. Didn't even let her go home. That horrible thing happened to her. He didn't even let her go home. So he talked to his dad, and he said, I want to marry her. I love her, Dad. I want to marry her. Jacob heard what happened to Dina, but his sons were out in the field with the cattle. So he didn't say anything until they came home. And Hamor, Shechem's dad, went out to talk to Jacob, tell him what happened. And his sons came in from the field, and they heard about it, and they were mad, understandably so. They were mad. It said they were angry because he had wrought folly in Israel by laying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing ought not to be done. Made him look bad. Made the family look bad. It's not saying anything about Dina here. Not saying anything about hurting her. It's just saying it's making the family look bad. People are going to laugh at him. So Hamor spoke to him, and he said, all right, my son Shechem, he loves your daughter. Let her marry him. let these two wacky kids get married. If you do, if you give your daughters to us, meaning, because up till now, Israelites were not marrying Canaanites. They did not mix. God told the Israelites, don't marry people who don't believe in me. Not because they're bad people, not because they're not going to heaven or anything like that, but just because they'll lead you away from God. He didn't want them to marry people who didn't believe in him because it'd be easier for them to stop believing in him too. So anyway, they're saying, hey, let your daughters start marrying our sons. You can live with us and the land will be open to you and you can trade in it and start getting property. So that tells me they must not have been able to move about freely and do trade freely like the Canaanites could. And the Canaanites are kind of bullying them here. Hamar's kind of saying, look, we'll treat you as equals if you let my son marry Dina and let your daughters start marrying our sons. We'll make some kind of a trade agreement here. So it's all about them. Still nothing about Dina. And then Shechem said to Jacob and her brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I'll give it to you. And he said, I want to marry your sister. I want her to be my wife. I'll give you anything. What's it take? I'll do whatever you want. So the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because they'd hurt Dinah. They lied to him. And they said, oh, we can't do this thing. We can't give our sister to you. We can't let our daughters marry your sons because you're not circumcised. You'd have to be circumcised first. All right. We know what that means. And he said, every male amongst you needs to be circumcised. Then we'll give you our daughters, and we'll take your daughters, and we'll live with you, and we'll become one people. But if you don't listen to us and get circumcised, then we're going to take Dinah and be gone. And they know that there will be war between them if that happens. So Hamor and his son were happy with that. And the young man, Shechem, he got circumcised right away because he wanted Dinah. He lusted for her. Didn't care about her, didn't love her, but he lusted for her. And he was the most honored of his family. So, you know, what's that saying about the family? So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of the city and they talked to all the men. Imagine this cell. Y'all need to get circumcised so that we can make peace with these Israelite people. They're not going to want to do that. This isn't their problem. This is Hamor and Shechem's problem. They're not going to want to get circumcised. So they're telling them, Hamor's telling them, look, these people are friendly. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land's large enough for them. Let us take their daughters in marriage and give our daughters. We just have to be sacrificed. And then they said, will not their cattle, their property, and all their beasts be ours? Ooh. If we get circumcised, we can gain a little profit off of this deal. Those Israelites have a lot of cattle. They have a lot of possessions. They can be ours. We can start taking them from them. So now they're talking their language. It's all about money. Again, nobody cares about Dinah. Nobody cares what happened to her. It's all about themselves. Greed, greed, greed. So let's agree with them and let them live with us. And everybody said, all right, we'll do it. They all went out. They got circumcised. And on the third day, when they were good and sore and could just barely walk, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's full brothers, so they were sons of Jacob and Leah's, took their swords and went to the city when nobody knew it and killed every one of those men. Every single man in the city, they killed them. And they went and got Dinah. And then they plundered the city, took all their wealth, their gold, their silver, their stuff. They took everything. They even captured their wives, their kids. Men are dead now. They took the wives and the kids, everything. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have brought trouble on me by making me odious to the inhabitants, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. We don't have a lot of people. They have a lot. We're going to be destroyed. And they said, what are we supposed to do? Let him treat our sister like a harlot? So what do we think about this story? First off, Jacob's sons, all the sons I think probably helped in this. I don't know that they cared that much about Dina getting hurt. They just cared that their family was looking weak, looking bad. Hamer and Shechem just lusted. He just wanted Dina for pure lust, didn't care about her, didn't love her. Hamer just wanted more money, more wealth, more power. He didn't want to fight with Jacob and the Israelites because he wasn't sure he could win, wasn't sure he could beat them. Jacob just wanted peace. He didn't want fighting amongst all the people. He wasn't going to fight for Dina and what happened to her. And I think this is a sad thing. So God told Jacob, get up, go to Bethel and live there. And then he said to him, put away the foreign gods that are among you and purify yourselves. So Jacob, his sons, the Israelites, they've got some foreign gods. They're caring more about materialistic things, worldly things, money, power, fame, respect. They're not caring about God. If they loved God and loved each other, this would have turned out differently. But it didn't. And so God's telling them, y'all are getting away from me, and you need to turn back. So as they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities that were all around them, and nobody attacked them. God took care of them. And then he appeared to Jacob when he came from Padan Aram, and he blessed him. And he said again that your name's not going to be Jacob, it's going to be Israel. So he's telling him, you're doing the right thing. Bethel is the place where he changed his name the first time. And maybe he's sending him back there to remember how he had to put God first in all things. So I don't know what to think about this story. I think a whole lot of people were caring more about themselves than they were about God. And the only person who wasn't doing that was Dina, and she's not talked about a whole lot. I think God protected Dina and watched out for her, but a terrible thing happened to her, and she didn't do anything wrong. Terrible things happen to us, and we don't do anything wrong. Why? Why? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why do these terrible things happen to me? God didn't intend for any of it. He didn't intend for us to get sick. He didn't intend for us to die. He didn't intend for us to be raped, to have bad things happen to us. He intended for us to live in Eden in perfect harmony with him. But when sin came into the world got turned upside down. And now bad things are happening to us. We get sick, we die, we have terrible harm come to us. It's from living in this world. And could God have stopped that? Sure he could. I don't know how many times God stopped it before that. Maybe he allowed this to happen to Dina because he knew that the good that could come of it would be much greater. I don't know. I have no answers for that because I don't know Dina. I haven't talked to her. I don't know what her life was like after this. We don't hear anything about her. What I do know is this. Every time something horrible happens to us, we need to just stop and ask God to touch our hearts, to help us to keep loving him and trusting him, and to help us to trust him no matter how it turns out, even if it doesn't turn out the way we want. And we have to repeat to ourselves 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times a day, I trust you, God. I trust you, God. I love you. I love you and I trust you, and I know this is not caused by you. And I know something good can come out of it. You will make something good come out of it. How do I know that? God took the worst thing that ever happened in this world and ever will happen in this world. the murder and torture of his son, which was God. We tortured and we murdered God. And he allowed that to happen so he could rise on the third day and show us death doesn't have any hold on us. Death can't stop us. It's not going to put us down. It's a brand new beginning. And so if God could make the very best thing in the whole world come out of the worst thing, he can make good things come out of whatever's happening to us. He doesn't cause the bad things, but he can make good things come of it if we just trust him and talk to him and ask him to touch our hearts and ask him to please help us to keep having faith, because it's easy to lose faith in those moments. It's easy to get into a dark place, and you're not going to be any happier in a dark place. So you might as well turn to God and trust him and ask him to help you. It's still going to hurt, but at least you're going to have God holding your hand and you're not going to be alone. Well, boy, that was a cheery one, wasn't it? Some of these stories are just rough reading. And this life is rough. I don't understand most of it. I don't understand why half the stuff happening today is going on. But I know it's not God's doing. And I know if I ask him to help me through it and to love me and to hold my hand and to help me keep having faith, he'll do that. So next time we get together, we're going to see what all's going on with Jacob and his wacky boys. And we'll even learn a little bit more about Isaac and Esau and what's going on with Jacob's dad Isaac and his brother Esau. Well, if you're going through a rough patch right now, oh man, I pray for you. I pray that God will touch your heart and bring you peace and comfort. And I pray that you don't lose faith in him. He will not forget about you. He will hold your hand and he'll be there with you. He didn't cause this pain. He's letting it happen, and I don't know why. But he will get you through it. And if you ask him to, he will make something good come out of all that. And that's what I pray for you. Until next time, everybody, have a wonderful day today. Bye-bye.